Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is Michaell Magrutsche. He is a podcaster and host of The Smart of Art. He's also an author and an artist himself. You can find him at Michaell with two L's and then an M.com, MichaellM.com. And I am also Michaell M, Mike Montague. You can find me at playfulhumans.com. And you can take a quiz, see how playful you are or what kind of playful personality you are, or connect with other adults trying to rediscover the power of play. Let's do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine. Go out All right, Michaell, welcome to the podcast. We like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week this week is brought to you by whiteboards. Whiteboards are remarkable. Whiteboards. What did the old pirate say on his birthday? The old pirate say on his birthday, Michaell?
R.
He said, I'm 80. I'm 80. There we go. All right. That'll get that done. How do you feel about jokes, Michaell?
I cannot tell jokes. I find a very few. I like comedians, but I am not. I love comedians. I mean, I the Fly on the Wall podcast about SNL. I'm like hooked to this.
I've been loving that one.
Every Wednesday, I'm like in heaven. It's Christmas every Wednesday because I grew up with SNL. So
Dana Carvey is one of my favorites of all time. His old stand-up comedy where he did the Chop and Broccoli song is one of my favorite things ever.
And the thing is, there's so much humanity in that art, in comedy. Comedy always, all art, that's what I found out. All art gets us to humanity. But you see it also even in comedy. It just brings us to be us. Like I resonated with your podcast because that is normal. To be playful is a human trait. Yeah. Look what guys do. They're together and they start being stupid, and women not so much, but guys are like crazy. When you put 5 guys, 10 guys together, we just automatically, and those are the most serious CEOs, CFOs, whatever. But when they're together, we wouldn't have that if the system allowed, all the systems that would allow, like human beings, like a rhythm, biorhythm. Nature works. It's constant. It's always constant, and it has seasons and it has all that stuff. And I think humor and playfulness is to preserve that you can deliver, basically, that you can deliver being the best human that you can be. So we need to have that season, but the economy doesn't have it, and all systems work on the base of economy. So economy is a static thing. It's not created. It's created by us. It's not created by nature or somebody else. So we are the only one that humans are the only, and nature are limitless. Right. So we are the only thing that it needs cycles, that needs to sleep, that needs to, it doesn't.
I think that's really what we're missing. Yeah, you're hitting one of my favorite points, which is we're not robots. Because we have computers, we've tried to measure things and control things, and even started back, 120 years ago with the industrial economy, that we needed humans to be part of the machine, part of the assembly line, and to do jobs that were repetitive. But now we don't need that. Now we need people to be creative. We need to bring back our humanity. And like you said, it is part of who we naturally are. And I know, men and women are different. Guys will probably turn it into a competition. And ladies will laugh and socialize and connect and tell stories. And I love what you do with art because, like you said, comedy and art and performance, all of these things are just part of our humanity, and they're different aspects of the same playful gene that I feel like is inside of us. So how did you find art as your thing?
Uh, I was basically, I, I could never fit into systems. Basically, the systems made me who I am because I was extremely dyslexic. I started, I mean, I'm talking, I wrote 5 books, right? But I was in the system. We have no use for you. You cannot understand the math we teach you. You can understand the language we teach you. I actually flunked in English, by the way. You know,
Yeah, I've
I
been
had
there
to
too. I'm
repeat it.
slightly dyslexic. I'm not
Yeah,
extremely, but slightly. And
and
I've
but
failed tests for sure.
yeah, and so I always, my refuge was became the art community because everything counted there. You know, it wasn't if you're gay or if you're straight, if you're black, any race, sexuality, it doesn't matter. And it always fit. And nobody was, it was not about a slowness or, I mean, Einstein was considered slow till 7, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
so it wasn't. So I was just hooked into that. I mean, I couldn't, if I want to live now, if I want to have that talk with you now, if without art, it wouldn't be possible. I think I would have not been able to make it. Just as a human, you know, have enough human stamina and reset, you know, the like the playfulness, the reset, the
Yeah.
set, so I have enough energy to be human. Because that's like we need to eat, we need to sleep, you need to reset at sleeping and playful and whatever.
Yeah,
And that
I
made
think
me
definitely
survive.
finding play is a biological need. We get depressed, we get burnt out, we have bad things that happen when we are not playful. But I wanted to talk more about the positive side of things that you do in your podcast, The Smart of Art, and in your books. Is that it's not just art for art's sake or play for play's sake, but there are real tangible benefits to our creativity, our confidence, our connections with other humans that do have an economic value. You've been able to make a career
Yeah.
out of this. That it's not just for me. It's anyway. It's not just about art or play. It's about creating something of value in our society.
You hit the nail on the head. Because I'm glad you got that, because a lot of people don't get it. Because I define my podcast as the uh, inert human superpower that we have. And I say this podcast is giving you thoughts that you ponder on about art outside the system. And the problem is artists have never defined their value. So when you go to a plumber and say, why do I pay you $5,000? He says, I put a shower in, I put a bathtub in. And then you say, why am I paying you $5,000 for this song, for this picture, for the whatever? Oh, I won a Grammy, or I had a big exhibition at the Met, or whatever. And that, what is that? That is no value, you know? Because it's also, it's not a tangible. Art is not tangible. The product isn't tangible, you know, really. I mean, it's tangible product. You like it, but you like it like a car or a bicycle or whatever. Sometimes you see the creation of art is where the value is for humans. So the Alzheimer's Association, so systems now start recognizing you can either pop a pill or you do an art class.
Yeah.
And that means that is value in a system that goes on economy that says, okay, you can either buy a pill for $300 or get a $100 art teacher, because artists are all poor, right? They all need a job because they have never defined themselves. And I want to change that worldwide. I mean, it's not like I'm crazy or whatever, and I didn't come up, because you got it, what I say. And all the
Yeah,
other
I mean, I
people
want
I
to do
know.
the same thing for all playful people, not just
Yeah.
artists, but performers, entertainment, people that do anything with passion and purpose in their career. Because I feel like we don't need more robots, we don't need more computers, we don't need more pills and really band-aid solutions to the problem. What we need to do, in my opinion, is get back to connecting with our humanity and finding something real. Because I love what you said. I think people think they can just take the pill, but that really doesn't work. It works for a few
Short time,
minutes
short time.
or hours, and then you end up with the side effects that you have to counteract too. So if you need caffeine to wake up in the morning, you're going to need a downer at night to sleep. And then those cycles get worse and worse to where you're just adding on things that are causing more problems rather than fixing the real problem, which is you didn't wake up excited about what you were going to do today. And you didn't wear yourself out with by expressing yourself and physical exercise and communicating with other people so that you fell asleep, you know, exhausted and satisfied at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, the thing is human. It's humanity, and humanity is very, you know, we want to connect. And you said the word the robots twice, and I want to hack into this because it's not the fear that robots are taking over our AI. What the fear is that we turn into robots, which you see already in China and stuff, where we say our survival, we work purely out of the reptilian brain, you know, the survival brain, and we will say that's the fear. I'm not afraid at all if there's a whole thing of robots coming at us. I don't care. I'm worried because they're not. See, I'm limitless. Humans are limitless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know, so you know, if I freak out right now, you have not known that I will freak out, but you know how to handle it because you are the innateness of us being connected on some level, you know, gives you the limitlessness of reacting or acting or making something good out of it. A robot doesn't have that because there is not enough brain power or computing power, and it will never be. It will never, because we are always expanding. So the thing is, we are so adaptable and so limitless and so creative that somebody comes up with a concept to make us to robots, and we say, oh, we on the other side of the system, oh, we need to adapt to the robots to survive.
Become that.
So right now we are in a very vulnerable point where we literally work to survive, which should never been. So it makes it very serious. And that's why we need these breaks. We need also the playfulness isn't a break. Playfulness is the human condition, like creating art or creating is the human condition. What does the CEO that works 60 hours a day, a week, on the weekend, he's tinkering in his garden, he's tinkering in the garage, or he's together with family because he needs to connect to his humanness, because in the system he's forced, fire people, don't say anything, use a vernacular that nobody understands, you know? So he's constantly disassociating from humanity to align to the energy of what economy is. Static, always growth, always never sleep, always on.
Systems, the cog in the wheel, productivity.
But it's on both sides.
And optimization.
It's on both sides. I mean, the new president wants a new tax law. There's humans on the other, they're afraid to lose their jobs, so they make the best limitless tax law. And on this side of the of the system, we try to navigate it and don't pay the taxes. You know, I'm saying, so we work like the hacker and the viruses, you know, the virus and the antivirus system. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And the thing is, the realization is it's all humans. So when we get that and say, hey, systems actually should support us in our biorhythms, seasons, whatever, you know, feelings, emotions, not be the emotion creator. Because they system have sold themselves to make you the perfect human. You take the pill, you do the course, you do this, you sell it this.
Well, by perfect human, you mean perfect consumer. They want you consuming and participating in the system, not what I think is the opposite is creation. You know, adding to it, breaking rules, getting outside of the system and creating something new. That's what's scary to things that are supposed to be uniform and safe and everybody controllable, right?
It's boring. And what it is human potential. What we're doing right now is human potential. We try to think outside the box and say, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? You know, and that's the human potential. And now our main humanity's main life force is going into how to create systems, new systems, because system never end. They create another one that helps them create new system, and all human work in it. Now the other ones try to learn that system and navigate it. I mean, that's where the life force is. We have no human potential. Human potential is so neutered. It's almost not existent. It's by default. Our human potential currently is by default. It's not by choice, because we have to give our life force on both sides. So there is no bad guys. It's just all of us behind system. And the problem is with system, the real problem is you get blind. We got blinded. You know, we had a system with, you know, with the economy, for example, with money, that was great. If you have a hammer, I have a chicken, I don't want a hammer and you don't want a chicken. We have a way to make that a value and buy what we want. But now it's like, we have to live
it's money for money's sake, and in this intangible dollar amount that you're not really even using. It's just a scoreboard, which is interesting. But I did want to ask you a question specifically about that, though, because I think artists struggle with that, and other playful humans struggle with making a career out of it. I'm assuming from what you said earlier that you never had a day job or really got too far into the system, but how did you find a way to make money and earn what you're worth as a artist?
Like every artist, I just survive. For 60 years, I just survive. And but I'm happy. See, and this is, so my last book, The Smart of Art, I wrote because I wanted to dissolve the fact that 97% of artists worldwide, 97% of artists worldwide are on the poverty level. They're making exactly what they're taking. Timberlake and it's so strong. The resonance of the starving artist is so strong that, like, Justin Timberlake just sold his record. Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen. Would you ever compartmentalize that these guys have to sell because now with the COVID, they didn't make the income? So they are run by, and the system just sucks up their creations. And they will be for millions of years. You know, people will listen or enjoy that work because we artists and playful people, we're just humans. And but to artists, the artist thing is we have to carry on humanity for the next generation, because we're not responsible for the nature, but we are responsible for what it is to be human. So when I look at the history books, or I look at art is the more objective. If you want to see in the 19th century how people lived or what happened, I can see that, and there was no editing then, you know, of video. But art itself is the carrier of that, much more objective. But the other thing I wanted to say is the 97% of artists that are worldwide on the poverty level, there's a phenomenon, more and more people become artists. We have never had so many artists than now. Now, if I say, going back to the plumber, because it's such a good, I embrace it, I'm not putting them down. If you tell a plumber, hey, 97% of is the chance that you're not going to make any money in your whole life. It's because starving artist is not just a short time. Sometimes it's short, but that's the 3% that we sell, that art is so great, you know? So, so the more that people go into art or playfulness like yours, the more to harder it's going back in the inhumane system, in the system culture. You can't go back. So even now they know they're going to be starving, but what they experience in that's why I say it's so powerful outside of selling, because what we assume as art is the art business. It's the product. It's not but when they experience the creating, they awaken, they grow up. There's
Well, I
nothing.
love that. That's exactly where I was going to go, is that
Yeah,
two things. One, I think we need to move back to more of like a local economy for art, because
absolutely.
that creates like a middle class of art where
Yeah,
you don't have to be Justin Timberlake or
yeah,
Bob Dylan to make money. You can make money locally by
yeah.
being locally famous and well known, or creating experiences for people that can't be done in a mass marketing way by large corporations. So getting back to smaller groups and connecting with less people actually creates more meaning and more direct revenue for the artist. Then it's not you're starving or you're famous. There's a middle class and a middle area, and I think the only way to do that is to get local. And I love what you say about experiencing that creation of the art, that there are a reason why people still go to live concerts instead of just watching them on television, or go to a live sporting event. And I think we're missing a voice for that. We have
Connectiveness.
a voice for social media, and social media is marketing itself, saying, oh, if you become famous on TikTok, maybe you'll be that 3% that makes money there. But what we're missing is who is marketing and who is sort of preaching for that live experience off of TikTok. What if you created
Mhm.
a social group that didn't have a Facebook group, that it was just about meeting in person, and we weren't recording it, and we weren't trying to manufacture something? It was just a real live human experience. How much would that be worth in our culture these days? I mean, that's something that's scarce and valuable, in my opinion.
But we also right now we using, for example, this is for me, this is heaven right now. There's nothing better. There's nothing is priceless, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a meeting of the minds. It's a confirming, it's a disconfirming, it's opening up. I say that dialogue, a healthy dialogue, is the second superpower. I said the first is creating, and the second is dialogue. Because and what you say, what you mentioned with the concerts, it is the feeling of we all one. And this is what I say with all the social media and all this stuff. They sell you fame. Why do you
Right.
want to be famous? To feel connected. So so they sell you, systems sell you, and they're not, it's not the system, it's other humans creating a system, because they have more fear of losing their job than you that are in the system, that navigate, uh, and they're creating something that we feel connected. So when people say, oh, you're too much on your cell phone, then I say, no, first of all, I'm not on my cell phone. I have a
Yeah.
iPod that I use all the time, because I listen to podcasts and you have to dictate all the time. But I think people are inherent so connected. We are herd animals, right? And we want to connect. And if we are not allowed to connect, let's say the COVID, if we're not allowed to be connected, if we are not allowed to connect because school, we're separated in race, sexuality, and whatever. So we have no experience of the limitlessness of humanity. So we get into, so that system can handle us. That's why they started separating men and women, gender. I mean, and what happens is that we have this desire to be in her. That's in us. It's like when you're hungry, you want to eat something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I can just turn off and say I'm not eating. You need the human interconnection, because it keeps you sane, it keeps you reflection. And that's what we're searching, and that's what's sold to us, and that's why we all use it.
But they're
It's
not
good.
delivering it. That's what I think is so
Yeah,
interesting. And you made a great point about the
yeah,
pandemic and how dangerous that can be. But I think also social media, if you're using it to connect like we are, I think that's a great point.
yeah,
There are benefits to it. But if you're trying to fulfill that need for human connection digitally or on social media, it's not actually social. You're not actually conversing with somebody like we are now.
yeah.
You're liking each other's pictures of your vacation. That to me doesn't count. It doesn't quite work as well. But I really appreciate you talking it out with me here today, and I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about what you have going on. So again, it's Michaell Magrutsche, And you can find him at Michaell with 2 L's and then m.com, michaelm.com. The link is in the show notes. The book, The Smart of Art, the podcast, Smart of Art, since you're listening to a podcast right now, you might just want to search for it. And really short, insightful thoughts to make you think every day. I love that, Michaell. Anything else you'd say about your artwork and your career that maybe people should know about you?
I am, if anybody, as you saw here, I expressed basically what I do, selling wisdom, because art is the language of wisdom. Knowledge is very short. So it's a lie to say knowledge is power, because now you have Google. So what we need now is wisdom, and wisdom you cannot write down. So I'm kind of like a wisdom coach through art. I became through art a wisdom coach. I had to learn to function outside of systems, not as an against, but it's good that I was, because now I can share that with you and be, because it's about human sharing. And by the way, one thing, just think about this. If we have no systems tomorrow, humanity will live, because we created the systems. If we have no humans, the systems make no sense, and they're absolute. So it will never be, there is never a drive of systems that say we need to rule the world or whatever. It's the humans that change to robots. That's the danger. It's us humans to change to it. And don't make the technology, use technology to be human, like we do right now, to expand the human potential. That's all.
Do you want to play a game, Michaell?
Go ahead. I'm not a game player, but go ahead.
We're going to learn one. This one is pretty easy. We spun the wheel and you got survey says, which means we surveyed 100 people. I have the top answers on these cards here. Your job is just to guess one of the most popular answers. So name a job that's so dangerous you wouldn't want it.
Almost any job.
That's true. Do you have a specific one? What's the job you definitely wouldn't want? Too dangerous.
Oh, is it personal, or is it what is it a question?
What you think everybody else said? Yeah.
Oh, what everybody else says? Anything that's not system relevant, like being cleaning the toilets, janitor, being
window washer and janitor is on there. That's number 6. Construction, police officer, firefighter, and airline pilot. I don't know that airline pilot is actually that dangerous, but it made the top list. All right, next one. Name a place you should never stick your finger.
See, my mind is different than other people, so I wouldn't even. Let me see. Oh, in any wasp's hole or anything where wasps are.
There you go. I'll give you that one. We've got bugs or hole, fan, garbage disposal. We've got nose and light socket. Yeah. All right, this is an interesting game with you. I like the way you're thinking on this one. So I got one more. This one is creative. I picked this one especially for you. Name a place a drunk astronaut might end up landing the space shuttle.
Make it. Say it again. I didn't comprehend the question. Say it again. That's good. I love it. This is where we both learn,
Yeah. Where would a drunk astronaut park the space shuttle?
First of all, I don't think he would get that. But where would he park the space shuttle? Where would he park it? My brain is too limited for that. I cannot comprehend that. I cannot comprehend it from the. I think it's very creative, but I think I cannot comprehend the question.
That can't create that scenario. That's all right. That's funny. I think it's interesting the way you think, and you already got 2 out of 3, so you already won. But the ocean, miss land, hit the ocean. Another planet, go to the wrong planet, go to the moon, or land it on another country, the wrong country.
But you see that the perception, I have just a different perception. It's like, when you go to a fountain and you move and then all of a sudden you see the rainbow.
Yeah.
I'm always outside of I don't see that, or I see it and nobody else sees it. So that's the dyslexia doing that. That's awesome.
great.
And thanks for that experience, because you confirmed what I know, you know.
Yeah, well, I feel like the opposite a little bit, and it's harder for me. I am a little dyslexic and I do think differently than people, but I'm also like a marketer. So I try to think common sense and very much like inside the systems and what a lot of people would say. I think that's one of my superpowers, but it's harder for me then to feel like I'm really creative, that I'm creating something from scratch. I end up putting pieces of things I've already seen together rather than creating something new, or thinking about what people will like rather than
But
what
that's
I'm
a
feeling or
creative thought.
expressing.
See, that's just a perception. Because when I hate the people that come to me and say, you know, I'm a busy man, I really have no idea about art. I'm very little in art history. If any art history major or master of art can blow me out. Any museum talk about, you know, facts, I have no clue, but I know how art works, how it functions. And I think that is just, you are very creative. You just use that inherent human superpower to navigate the system. But I cannot even connect money and art. I cannot connect the two in my compartmentalizing. So the reason is that why you're still living from the hand in the mouth is because I cannot compartmentalize how I create, because I create what I create and where I'm best at what I'm creating. I cannot put that creation into the market and say, okay, I mean, after this, what would you sell? How I can sell myself? I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a great question. Here's what I've come to see as the answer. It's all made up anyway. Art and money are conceptual things. So how you connect them is a made up answer, and it's different for everybody. So you can decide whether your painting is worth $100 or 100,000, but whether somebody believes that story or not is the only thing that matters.
But that do you have to then see? I hate the manipulation to make him believe that. See, I think, for example, there was no manipulation between you and me right now. That's the power.
Yeah.
So it's working on attraction versus selling you, hey, you listen to this podcast, you gotta be a millionaire, which is, again, puts you out of time and space in the future. And future is, you know, the power is now.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a great thing too. Yeah. So the one thing that I would say, maybe if you haven't tried, that I like to do is just pay me what you think it's worth. I have some prices listed on my website if you want me to come and play games with your team or whatever, but you tell me if it's not worth my time, I'll say no.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's down the street and I'm not doing anything, I would rather go play with people and earn $100 than sit at home bored, feel disconnected, and not make any money. But if you want me to fly across the country when I'm busy and miss my, nephew's birthday, maybe that's worth $10,000, because I'm not going to do that for $100. So I think letting people decide what it's worth to them is really interesting too, and not having a set price for everybody, because art and play doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. It doesn't have the same value. Somebody that's a millionaire might be, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a really cool experience, where somebody that doesn't have those resources, they know how to play for free. So it's not valuable for them. I think those are all great conversations. I'd love to continue with them, but we're running out of time. Okay. So I want to send everybody one more time to your website, michaellm.com. Check out the Smart of Art and check out those links below. Any final words, Michael?
You just said, I think I did my last say like this, like you said, which is, how we show that we're all interconnected, because why would you say it exactly like I said? It was exactly, I said, you pay me whatever you want to pay. And I think that's the future of art sales, of true art sales, and then because then you can engage also better. You don't have to look at the market and say what sales I'm going to make the same, just different,
Yeah, I think to add on to that, people try to sell scarcity a lot of time, especially in the art world, other things that there's only one, or for me, a performance, but my time is valuable. So there is only one of me. So it's already scarce. It's already limitless. Like you said, I would rather do it than not do it. So I would rather work and connect and play with people and create art than to not do it. So I might as well make it, and then you tell me what it's worth, because I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to hold back how I express myself and play to wait for somebody to pay me for it. I think that's what makes you and I different from people that don't play and create art for a living. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Again, michaelm.com, the smart of art for playful humans. Go to playfulhumans.com and rediscover the power of play and art for you, and how it creates more creativity and confidence and physical and mental conditioning in those cycles that Michaell was talking about. And then also together with other people, creating connections, culture, and community in your world. Until next time, if you can't be good at it.
Thank you.
Hey, you did it. You made it to the end. But don't worry, there are plenty of more videos where that came from. Just click subscribe to Playful Humans to get notified about our future videos. Now, what are you still doing here? Go play.